Thank you so much to the AFS Ontario chapter for inviting me to speak at this year's conference. It truly is an honor and a privilege to do so. To everyone in the audience today, some of you who may be at the start of your career or almost in the middle of or at the close of your professional careers, I hope that no matter at what stage you find yourself, this presentation will leave you eager and curious about the path ahead and definitely not ready to sit and let opportunities pass you by. And I do apologize in advance if I do read a bit off my notes. That's not my normal style, but I'll not get through this in time if I don't keep myself on track. So just apologies on that front. So I'm a teacher, as some of you may know, so teachers always have to start with some kind of a quiz or something to make sure people are paying attention. So these are a series of true-false questions. You can think about the answers, and I'll tell you the answers at the end in the interest of time. So these are true-false questions about me. I cleaned my first fish when I was 5 years old. I met and shook hands with Michelle Obama in the White House. I was kissed twice on the cheek by Prime Minister Trudeau. I sat across from Governor Arnold Schwarzenegger in a cigar bar. I met both E.O. Wilson and Bev Scott and got their signatures. I ran and finished the Boston Marathon 3 times in my 50+ year and counting running career. So all of the answers to those questions are true. There is, of course, a story behind each one of these, but those will have to wait for another time in the interest of time. However, just so you know, I'm telling the truth. Here I am with Bev Scott at the hatchery at Fleming College Frost Campus. So that was a great honor to actually meet him before he passed on. This slide summarizes just a little bit about me and my learning journey, and I only share this to make the point that lifelong learning is something I truly believe in and advocate for in everything I do. I am a proud graduate from the University of Guelph in fisheries biology a long, long time ago, and I have a few other little letters behind my name, but they all point to the fact that I truly value lifelong learning, and it's something that is at the core of what I do. I am addicted to the ocean and have to get to it as often as I can. I've had some life-changing experiences with the ocean, including a very painful and dangerous encounter with a Portuguese man of war and an equally beautiful encounter with an octopus that you'll see in the photo here, whose flesh I will never consume again, by the way, after that encounter. My family, also pictured on the screen here, is my anchor, and I've had the privilege to travel with them to many marine and freshwater destinations over the last 25+ years. So I'd like to take you on a bit of a journey then through my personal and professional life and share some of the lessons that I have learned along the way from my family, my students, my colleagues, and countless mentors, in the hopes that you may find some value in them. My interest in the environment began at a very young age, indeed when I was 4 or 5, and learned how to catch and clean my own fish, and shared in the excitement of discovering lady beetles under a pile of fossils with my grandfather. When I was 10 years old, I volunteered to scrub the city streets of Woodstock, Ontario, as part of some public awareness activities organized by what was then Pollution Probe, I think. Nice pants, eh? Where my professional career truly began was as a summer technician working for the Ontario Ministry of the Environment for the Acid Precipitation in Ontario study back in 1981, based out of the Dorset Research Centre. At that time, I made $2.65 an hour. Big money. The job was amazing and truly solidified my passion for all things aquatic. This photo of me collecting zooplankton samples was published in June of 1981 in the Toronto Sun. Back in the day when the Sunshine Girl was a regular occurrence. You never know when your 15 minutes or seconds of fame will actually arrive. In subsequent summers, I was hired as a park naturalist at Algonquin Provincial Park, and in addition to delivering evening talks, leading canoe hikes and forest walks, and howling for wolves, yes, that was part of my job, I got to participate in and assist with several of the ongoing monitoring and research activities in the park. These included radio collaring moose calves in the presence of a very angry mother and completing lake trout spawning shoal observations on chilly October evenings. Wow, these are all truly spectacular animals. Once I graduated from university and teachers college, I worked for many years in environmental education for a number of organizations before landing at Sir Sandford Fleming College, where I have taught proudly and happily since 1995 in the ecosystem management program. Through my experience at Fleming College, I have had the great privilege to travel to some amazing places with my students, and I would like to share some of those with you now. Just as a point of interest, the red stars on the map here are personal trips and the black stars are trips with students. So you can see I've traveled to a couple of different hemispheres over the course of my time. Our students in the second year EM program have the opportunity to complete a 2-week field placement at the end of their final semester, including the opportunity to compete for and be selected as a member on one of our team-based placements. Here we are in Moose Factory in May on one of our team field placement activities. We got to experience the Moose River in flood conditions and travel by plane. We actually had to be evacuated from the island by helicopter due to the floodwaters. We traveled by train on the Polar Bear Express and automobile during our 2-week stay. The power of water and ice is simply astounding. I have also had the opportunity to travel with my third-year students to Washington, D.C. to attend an international environmental conference. One year, I arranged for the class to visit the back rooms of the Smithsonian. That was a highlight. If you ever get the chance to do it, I highly recommend it. But not after a night at the bar, as the smell will make you very green and possibly have to run to the bathroom. In this photo, I'm holding a picture of a student who could not join us on the trip, so we took pictures like this to make her feel like she was part of the experience in Washington. We ran our first 2-week team placement with students to Costa Rica in 2009, where we worked with the local conservation agencies to monitor and document leatherback sea turtles as they came to the beach to dig their nests and lay eggs. This was grueling and rewarding work, completed in pitch black, regardless of the weather, walking a 9-kilometer stretch of beach with the surf pounding at your feet and huge logs rolling in with the waves. I will never forget the stars, or carrying a huge bag of freshly laid warm turtle eggs on my back to a safer location. We also have a 2-week field placement for students to a wilderness reserve in South Africa, where we work with the reserve and conservation program staff to monitor animal populations, control invasive species, remove bush camps set up by poachers, and do anything else that is needed. And of course, the flora and fauna are incredible. I can tell you about the warthog, but that'll have to wait for another time. It is hard work, but so very rewarding. And this quote really says it all for me. This is a section from a poem by Marge Piercy, and the poem is called "To Be of Use." I love people who harness themselves, an ox to a heavy cart, who pull like water buffalo with massive patience, who strain in the mud and the muck to move things forward, who do what has to be done again and again. One thing you have to know is that every green plant almost in South Africa has thorns, so you have to be prepared to get a little messy when you're working in the field. We have had the incredible privilege to participate in many animal relocations over the years as well, and moving a Cape buffalo was the most memorable one for me. And how many people does it take to actually move a Cape buffalo? Lots. They're big. You have to remember at all times that there are things in South Africa that want to eat you for dinner. Our hosts always had rifles at the ready, and we all had to learn to shoot rifles as part of our safety training. Closer to home, we and our students have participated on an annual basis in dune restoration and invasive species removal on Ward's Island in Toronto. On many of these trips, we have mobilized the entire class to do some pretty amazing things, like moving massive logs to help direct and manage the movement of people away from the sensitive dune ecosystem that is found there. And I totally agree with Marnie McBean. In this statement, there is no joy in overachieving on mediocre goals. Those are just a few of the wonderful experiences I have had over my professional career. I have not only had the opportunity to travel the world, but also have been given the chance to develop my skills in an area of aquatic ecology about which I am endlessly fascinated. And some of you in the audience know or will know what that is. Yes, you guessed it, bugs. Looking into a microscope of these amazing animals is truly therapeutic for me, and I have learned so much in the process. Like, there's never a bad time to collect bugs. They are always there, no matter the season. Here are some of my eager students out at Jackson's Creek in late November collecting some benthic samples. And they are everywhere. Here we are analyzing some benthos collected in a stream on the Wilderness Reserve in South Africa. Just a note, Scotch works as a preservative when there is no isopropyl alcohol in sight. You can sort bugs anywhere using any available resources. This is a photo of some of my colleagues in a hotel room working through some samples we collected to help assess the potential impacts of inland aquaculture operations on stream health. The outdoor office, best chairs ever. Even a sea can will work in a pinch. Notice the clothing. This is the end of May, and that day it was in fact snowing. I would like to leave you with some closing thoughts that I hope will inspire you to stay connected to the natural world, to remain open-minded, and to embrace the opportunities that may present themselves to you. Starting with this thought: it seems impossible until it's done. It doesn't have to be a fancy test to be a good test. Dr. Sprague was one of my professors at the University of Guelph. And the message here is be ready to improvise to get the data you need. Here we are in South Africa collecting benthos with a spare bucket, some window screen, and a couple of sticks. Life begins when you go beyond your comfort zone. I stand by this. I live this. I encourage you to embrace this. Jump in with both feet. Start young. Get your children, if you have them, out in nature. Get yourself out in nature to stay youthful and curious. Enjoy nature together. It truly is the leveler. Never lose your curiosity. Stay connected to the natural world. Be amazed by this planet and all its secrets that are still to be told. Laugh. Smile. Contribute. Face every day with optimism and an open mind. May the natural world bring you peace, energy, and enjoyment, so that the next time you sit in that armchair, it will feel like this. I'm going to finish with a quote from one of my favorite authors, Dr. Seuss. His books are nice and short, so I can read them easily. Life is too short to wake up in the morning with regrets. So love the people who treat you right, forgive the ones who don't, and believe that everything happens for a reason. If you get the chance, take it. If it changes your life, let it. Nobody said it would be easy. They just promised it would be worth it. Thank you very much for your time.